Hello, welcome to Proven Cures. Today is Thursday, October 1st, 2020, and I know it's been approximately 2 to 3 months since my last video, and I apologize for that. It's just that I created this channel to bring groundbreaking research to you, and over the past few months, I have been neglectful in looking for such research, but at the same time, nothing has kind of come across my path either up until today. And this research is so pivotal to changing the course of a disease, which up until very recently has been considered to be completely uncurable. And that disease is multiple sclerosis. It is a neurodegenerative disease in that it destroys nerve pathways. It causes acute inflammation in the central nervous system, which leads to loss of sensory abilities. Sensory abilities being your vision, your ability to touch, the ability to walk. Well, that's motor. I'm sorry, that's loss of motor abilities. But yes, it causes loss of sensory and loss of motor abilities. And it causes a shrinkage, literal shrinkage in the brain and the spine. And even with all of the drugs on the market, including chemotherapy, some people are actually prescribed chemotherapy for their MS symptoms. There has been no actual cure or no way to actually slow down the progress of the disease. Up until now, came across some information today from a doctor by the name of Terry Wahls. That's Wahls. And at the end of this video, I'm going to strongly encourage you to, if you have MS or someone you love has MS, to look up her information for yourself. I'm going to put the links also in the discussion section of this video to her. The diet that she prescribes is actually a dietary clinical nutrition intervention that allowed her to reverse her MS. The diet she prescribed, her research papers, and also her YouTube channel, which is, the name of her YouTube channel, folks, is, what do I have? The name of her YouTube channel is Food as Medicine. So, yeah, I found this particularly interesting. In my personal life, I rarely share, but I don't mind saying this, that I've recently been accepted into a doctorate program that in health science that has a track in clinical nutrition, which will be my concentration. So when I saw this information about this woman and her remarkable ability to study the disease process and the inflammatory process that is attributed to the steady decline of multiple sclerosis, and how she was able to look at it from a cellular standpoint and adjust her diet in order to increase the energy production of the mitochondria of the cell just through food, and actually reverse her symptoms. I just found that exceptionally remarkable. Hopefully one day I'll actually be able to add this information somewhere into my studies to share, maybe in some paper I get to write or something like that. I mean, it's just exceptionally remarkable, and I want to share it with you. So if you feel discouraged, that even though you're taking all the drugs that they're giving you and stuff like that, and you're experiencing chronic fatigue, it's getting worse, maybe you can't walk so well, that kind of thing, having extreme pain, I know it causes exceptional nerve pain, neuralgia, there's hope for you. So stay tuned, okay? So once again, let me tell you her name again is Dr. Terry, Terry Wahls. She is an author and clinical professor of medicine at the University of Iowa. And when she started her protocol for herself, she was actually wheelchair bound, and now she rides her bicycle to work every day. So that is amazing. She reports that she was officially diagnosed with MS in 2000. And that year, although she'd been having symptoms leading up to her diagnosis for just about 20 years, her symptoms started with dimming vision. But at the time of her diagnosis, she'd had left leg weakness. Lesions were found on her spinal cord and in her brain via MRI. She had abnormal spinal fluid. When a spinal tap was done, she had trigeminal neuralgia, and let me see, and her gait was poor. She had difficulty walking, and she had severe fatigue. She was at the point at work where her superiors were telling her that she would have to take leave. She could no longer, do her job successfully because she was so tired. And she also said that at the time she had 2 children who were very small, and they were her primary motivation to get better, because she wanted to be there for them and, watch them grow up and be a solid contributor to their success in life, as any parent would want. She'd also been prescribed several drugs, so she's a physician. So of course she's not anti pharmaceutical medication. Some of the medication she was on chemotherapy. She was taking Copaxone. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Copaxone. She was taking Avantrone. She'd also taken Cellcept, and none of these things stopped the progression of the disease. I don't know if it was after taking them or while she was taking the pharmaceutical medications, she started to supplement her diet with pill supplements of vitamin B, magnesium, coenzyme Q10, lipoic acid, and the amino acid called L-carnitine. And she said that those supplements did help her fatigue. But what she noticed was that I'm sorry, I'm having a little back strain from always leaning over into my computer because I, working on the computer all day. So if you see me doing like this, that's the reason. So she noticed that when she stopped taking the supplements, the fatigue, would come back, and it would come back even harder and stuff like that. So she took it upon herself. She said she wanted to feed her body in a way that supported her DNA. She said that her DNA expected a diet that mimicked the foundation of the DNA. So that mimicked what early ancestors ate. And when she describes early ancestors, she describes them in an anthropological sense in terms of being hunter-gatherers. So her dietary choice was just basically a modification of the paleo diet. So if you've heard of the paleo diet, you'll be somewhat familiar with what I'm going to share. So the first thing she did was she decided to completely exclude gluten. So any grains that had gluten were out, all dairy products, and eggs. And she got a really great response to that. And also she describes a disease process that allowed her to make her decisions as far as food is concerned. Because, a lot of times we get diagnosed with something, but we really don't understand how that diagnosis comes about or how it works physiologically in our bodies. And that's the awesome thing about my being able to listen to the doctors speak directly as opposed to just reading. She has several research studies, by the way, one of which I am going to share towards the end of this video. But by just sitting and listening to her sort of just lecture about the disease process of MS, it helped me also to understand in order to share with you why she chose the food she chose, and I'm definitely going to get into that in greater depth. But she says that there's two primary components of multiple sclerosis that she kept in mind. Number one, it has an inflammatory component, which causes, the lesions in the brain and the spine. And number two, it causes a slow accumulation. So it happens over a course of many years. So you'll be thinking, oh, I'm fine. But still over time, what's going on is you will experience sensory loss and motor loss, which and a shrinking of the brain and spine due to the loss of axons, which axons are basically the wiring between brain cells, because mitochondria in the brain cells cannot make enough energy to maintain the axons, and so the cells atrophy and die. And the mitochondria are sending signals for cells to die too early. So that is MS from a physiological standpoint, okay? And that is how she was able to devise her diet, okay? So she started her diet December 26, 2007. Mind you, now it's 2020. She's fully functional. She's not just walking, she's biking to work every day. And this is someone who was wheelchair bound. So she redesigned the paleo diet. And she says that, before I share that with you, she says 1 month after incorporating the diet, her pain was completely gone. Her fatigue was completely gone. Her brain fog was gone. 3 months after starting the diet, she could sit up and eat at the table. She could walk. And at 6 months into the diet, she started riding her bicycle. So now let me get into the diet. So this is the juicy part. This is where you need your pens and pencils and paper, or if you're doing this electronically, you might have to stop the video a few times to write everything down, but this is the time to write everything down. So the first primary component of the diet. So I told you what you have to leave out, right? So you're going to completely exclude gluten-containing grain. Write that down. You're going to completely exclude all dairy products, milk and cheese. What else whatever constitutes dairy, milk, cheese, yogurt. Those are the things I think of when I think dairy. Also eggs. I'm going to exclude eggs. She said when she tried to eat eggs again, her facial pain came back. So that's why she's anti-eggs. She also says to completely exclude processed foods, those foods that come in a box and come in a can and can sit out on the shelves for days and months and years. The processed food, full of preservatives, those kinds of foods that you just heat up and eat, cut those out. And sugar. Sugar is a big no-no in the case of trying to reverse multiple sclerosis. Now, in terms of the diet, on a daily basis, this is a daily diet. The first thing is to consume 3 cups of cooked or 6 cups of raw green leafy vegetables. So those things look like kale, chard, romaine lettuce, mustard greens. All those things are green leafy vegetables. Now, the reason, and this is why I listened to the physiology, the physiology of the disease, because I wanted to understand in greater depth why she chose the food she chose for her revision of the paleo diet. And she says that the green leafy vegetables are an excellent source of vitamin K1. And the thing about it is, when vitamin K1 enters the gut, enters the stomach, natural bacteria in your stomach metabolizes vitamin K1 to a version of vitamin K2 called K2-MK7, which is absorbed in the ileum. Now, vitamin K2 is important to the production of myelin in the muscles, and it moves calcium deposits out of the endothelium, out of the heart valves, into the bones and teeth where it's needed in order to maintain bone density and to maintain strength. Okay, the second primary ingredient of the diet, the daily diet, is 3 cups of cooked or raw, sulfur-rich vegetables, in particular, cabbage, onions, and mushrooms. And let me tell you why. You can't go switching these up. These 3 are exceptionally important, and I'm going to explain why. Mushrooms, particularly a mushroom called lion's mane mushroom, Lion, mane, like hair, lion's mane mushrooms, increase nerve growth factors. Remember, a primary problem with multiple sclerosis is the deadening of nerves. So these mushrooms stimulate the growth of those nerves. And they also activate natural killer cells and prime innate and adaptive immune cell function. Okay? That's the mushrooms. Now, the cabbage and the onions are in plant families known as Brassica and Allium, which are essential to combating MS, because MS develops because of an accumulation of toxins either from your environment or from what you've consumed over the years, especially from a traditional Western diet, which is full of the processed foods, the preservatives, and those things. The toxins actually, when we consume them, store in our fat cells. And so when you have MS, you have a continual decline in cognition, especially because, and of course the nerves, because those toxins are still in your system. So the benefit of consuming cabbage and onions is that they improve detoxification enzymes, they increase glutathione production, they increase GABA production, that enhance neuroprotection and improve endothelial function. And these are what you need to eliminate those toxins that contribute to progressive decline of MS. The third essential part of this diet is the consumption of 3 cups of cooked or raw, deeply, highly pigmented, colored fruits or vegetables. Examples of these are red grapefruit, beets, various bell peppers. She made a point to mention as well that the colors blue, purple, and black, fruits and vegetables, particularly blueberries, black grapes, those kinds of dietary additions, improve cognitive performance and neuroprotection. So that is why she chose those particular fruits and vegetables to make up this curative diet for muscular sclerosis. All right. In addition to that, now, she recommends 2 tablespoons per day of omega-3 oils and 4 to 12 ounces of grass-fed animal protein, of which, now this probably will gross you out, but it's so important, 6 to 8 ounces must come from organ meat. Organ meat, meaning stuff you probably don't eat or your grandparents might have eaten. Like, I've watched my dad used to eat it, and I used to be like, oh my God, it's disgusting, I'll never eat it. But in this particular case, we're trying to reverse disease, and it's absolutely important. So liver, heart, brain meat. Now, if you don't cook like that or it grosses you out, she actually said that you can buy these in supplement form, which I had no idea about. So that's awesome. So this is something that you know for sure you need to reverse disease, and you don't want to cook it or chew it and swallow it. You can just buy it in capsule form. And she said that liver, of all the organ meats, liver in particular, is an excellent source of vitamin K2. And remember, like I said earlier with the leafy green veggies, the vitamin K2 functions to move calcium from the heart valves into the bones and teeth where they're needed for strength. Okay, so liver is an excellent source for that. It's also an excellent source of retinol, vitamin A, ubiquinone, minerals, essential fatty acids, fat and water soluble vitamins. One special thing I do have to note is that if you are someone who is a fan of raw foods and you listen to this and you're like, oh, that's awesome, I can eat all that stuff raw, that's just for me, I love this. Keep in mind, if you are a raw food eater, that over time, the consistency of your bowel movements may change. Now, a healthy bowel movement is supposed to be solid. It's supposed to be solid, and it's supposed to look like the insides of your intestines, so it should be tubular, fairly long and solid. Over time, however, with a raw food diet, you may find that your stool will come out mushy or watery. And if you see that, it is an indication of inflammation. And what you should do is switch to cook food for a while and then go back. You can always go back later on to the raw food or do more of a balance there. Okay? Now, what I just mentioned worked for her. It reversed her MS, but she wanted to put it to trial. She wanted to do at least a pilot study in other people who suffered with MS to see how they got on with her diet. And in order for her to be approved, I guess financially, to operate the study, it could not only just be diet based, unfortunately. So I'll tell you the title of the clinical trial, her first pilot study rather, because she said as of May of this year, May of 2020, she was working on getting another study going, I guess a larger study, but because of the COVID-19 issue, she's not able to bring people on site anymore for the study, and some other unfortunate happenstance that she cannot conduct the study, or it's on hold for now. So what I have here are the results of the pilot study, and the pilot study is entitled Dietary Approaches to Treating. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was the title of her clinical trial. The study that is published is called Multimodal. That means many modes. So it's just not just diet then. It includes exercise. It includes electrical stimulation of the muscles. Multimodal intervention improves fatigue and quality of life in subjects with progressive multiple sclerosis. A pilot study. It was published February 27, 2015 in a journal titled Degenerative, Neurological, and Neuromuscular Disease. Okay, volume 5, pages 19 to 35. The study enrolled only 20 people. Let me see what I have here. The average age of the enrollees was 51. 18 of them had secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. 2 had primary progressive multiple sclerosis. And she mentioned that 2 were men and 18 were women. The disability levels of the enrollees were high. They were either on a cane or 2 canes or a walker. And prior to starting the study, enrollees were normally eating 1 to 2 servings of vegetables or fruits per day and 5 servings of eggs and grains. So, of course, when they came on study, the eggs and grains, gluten-containing grains were removed from their diets, as well as dairy. And the sources of fruits and vegetables changed to what I mentioned earlier in terms of 3 cups of the green leafy veg, 3 cups of the sulfur-rich veg, and the cabbage, onions, mushrooms, sulfur-rich, and 3 cups of the dark-colored fruits and veg, 2 tablespoons of the omega-3 oils, and 4 to 12 ounces of grass-fed animal protein, with 6 to 8 of those ounces coming from organ meat. Organ meat is especially essential for the reversal of MS due to the due to it being a high source of K2 and vitamin A. Like I said, this is a multimodal study, so if change of diet was not enough to execute the study, study participants were also expected to exercise as much as they could. In particular, they were doing stretching exercises for the gastrosoleus muscles, hamstrings, quadriceps, and the spine. Vitamin supplements were given to them. And those vitamins in particular, you may want to write this down as well, were methyl B12, so that's different from regular vitamin B12. If you are to buy it, look for METHYL, methyl B12. Also methyl folate, vitamin D as in dog, and fish oil, of course, for the omega-3s. The study also included stress reduction through meditation. Maybe meditation isn't your thing, maybe you're like me and you pray a lot. That's also a form of stress reduction. In addition, they were expected to complete electrical stimulation of the muscles in order to grow the muscles. If you are having a lot of muscular pain, or you can't get to physical therapy where you can get the electrical stimulation of the muscles, number one, if you're having too much pain, do not do it. She does not recommend you do it if you cannot complete it successfully. Second, it's not necessary, obviously. She was able to reverse her MS without these additional modes of intervention that were required for her to execute the study. She did it strictly with diet. But this channel is dedicated to clinical trials. So of course I'm going to share with you the study that she conducted and how she did it as well. So yeah, electrical stimulation is an optional therapy, but the point of it, of course, was to build muscles. So what she noticed in her participants is that within 12 weeks of the intervention, after 12 weeks of intervention, all of her participants experienced dramatic reductions in fatigue, anxiety, depression, and poor cognition. Cognition being the ability to think and concentrate. At 6 months post-intervention, one female participant was exceptional. And when she first started, she was on a walker and she couldn't lift her toes off the ground. Her toes would be dragging on the ground. Something wrong with her dorsal reflex or something like that. And after 6 months of the intervention, this woman was jumping and jogging and driving 4 and 6 hour distances. 12 months after the intervention, all subjects who were dependent on walking devices began to walk without them with less leg stiffness. Of course, at different, not everybody's going to run and jump, but to be more independent and not have to rely on a walking device, not have to rely on someone to be with you in case you fall down. These are the primary benefits that these subjects experienced after being on trial for a year. The only side effect she noticed was that in her subjects who were obese, had a BMI over 25, they experienced weight loss without being hungry, which is pretty awesome. Let me see. I pulled up the study here, and the only thing I wanted to share, I just want to share with you. I know I explained the primary ingredients of her diet and why she chose those ingredients. Those are at the top of what's important for her diet, but she has other notations here as well that I would like to share with you. So I covered the green leafy vegetables, the sulfur-rich vegetables, the deeply intensely colored vegetables, the blue, purple, and black fruits and vegetables, the omega-3 oils, the animal protein. 4 ounces of animal protein or more are encouraged per day. Plant protein, 4 ounces or more encouraged per day. Nutritional yeast, 1 tablespoon encouraged per day. Milks, of course, non-dairy milk, soy milk, almond, peanut, rice, coconut. My favorite is oat milk. Oh, but oat milk, I'm sorry, I should have never mentioned that because I'm sure that's full of gluten. But those are non-dairy milks that you can choose from, she says, according to your personal choice. She encourages kelp, a 1/4 teaspoon powder or 2 capsules of kelp. Kelp being KELP, the algae. She also encourages spirulina, chlorella, and clamet, the blue-green algae, either 1/4 to 1 teaspoon or 4 to 8 capsules per day. Those are actually excellent sources of K2 that I happen to take myself, and I don't have multiple sclerosis. But yeah, I'm a proponent of chlorella and spirulina. They awesome way to get your vitamin K2 in. Gluten-free grains, of course. She says only two servings per week. Don't let that be a daily thing. You're trying to really cut out the grains while you're going through the healing process. Yeah, and of course she puts what's excluded: the gluten-containing grain, the dairy products, and the eggs. All right, so that's where you can find that study. Also, in addition, if you have questions about the study, the MS Diet study, you can email study staff at msdietstudy@healthcare.uiowa.edu. She is a clinical professor of medicine at the University of Iowa, so that makes sense. She has a website called terrywahls.com/diet. So you can look up the diet for yourself. She has another website called terrywahls.com/research papers. So you can you can read her research papers for yourself as well. On Facebook and Twitter, she's at Terry Wahls. On IG, she's at Dr. Terry Wahls. And she also, like I said, she has a YouTube channel called Food as Medicine. And this has run on over 30 minutes. So this is where I conclude. Please like, share, subscribe. I am always looking for new groundbreaking research that if you don't find helpful for yourself personally, you probably know someone who can help. I actually knew someone. I was actually able to help someone with this data just today, which I felt very, very good and very hopeful about. So yeah, this is a disorder of the autoimmune system, which is extremely difficult to treat, and to be able to reverse it with just diet is incredible, remarkable, amazing, wonderful information. All right, so once again, my name is Sarah McLeod. Soon, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 years, Dr. Sarah McLeod. And please, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd like to talk to everyone. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.